Nick, carrier aggregation has become a real hot topic over the last 6 months. Can you talk about Aeroflex's carrier aggregation solution and some of the trends you're seeing in this sector?
Excellent. Yes, sure can. Aeroflex is in a unique position in terms of carrier aggregation. We're basically the only test solution provider out there that can offer both ends of the solution. So we can offer carrier aggregation for a base station test and development. We can also offer carrier aggregation for device test and development. So what we offer here is basically a combination of TM500 product that's also the most advanced eNote B development tool on the market, and we also offer the 7100 product, which is basically a similar tool specifically designed for the device testing market. So what we're able to offer in this particular package is we're able to offer end-to-end testing for folks that want to do either base station development, or they want to basically have a reference design to make sure that their carrier aggregation product is progressing as they think it should be. So we can offer both pieces of this. And as the market continues to grow, and enhancements are continue to be driven, we're offering new capabilities like semi-persistent scheduling. We're offering VoLTE over carrier aggregation, VoLTE over LTE. We're basically looking at this market to be a huge growth opportunity for us as a company, and also for the entire telecommunications industry overall. So we've been doing this for since 2007 for LTE specifically, and basically our tools have been adopted by all the major vendors in the market on the device side and the handset side. So we're very confident in our product offering and what we can do for our customers.
For folks who may not be familiar with carrier aggregation, what is it and what makes the testing of carrier aggregation so challenging?
For folks that aren't familiar with that, carrier aggregation is basically part of the Release 10 LTE standard, and what that basically does is basically allow you to take fragmented spectrum and use that on one device. So in a situation where an operator has 5 megahertz spectrum, maybe on the maybe in the 700 megahertz bandwidth, and they've got another 5 megahertz, maybe at the band 1, 2.1 gigahertz. And what you can do is you can take both those bands and use those to push data. So on the device or on the base station, these two bands are merged back together, and now you got a contiguous data pipe where you can use, even though the actual spectrum is distributed across the gigahertz. So it makes more efficient use of the existing bandwidth, and it also basically helps you monetize what you have, instead of basically having a negative impact because you don't have full spectrum like some of the larger operators.
So what are some of the technical challenges in terms of providing carrier aggregation testing?
Some of the technical challenges are actually the bandwidth, because the way because the spectrum can be so spread out. A lot of vendors will have problems basically dealing with those two separate bands. You either have to have two transmit and receives, or you basically have to have a device that will cover the entire spectrum so that you can do them both simultaneously. So depending on what application you're dealing with, we can actually handle both in both of our systems. This system actually has the ability to support 2 RF cards, and the 7100 also has the ability to support 2 separate frequencies. In terms of analysis, this tool here has basically 160 megahertz of bandwidth, so you can analyze both characters in that wide spectrum. So those are the biggest challenges for our customers.
Thank you, Nick. I'm going to hand the mic off to you, and what I'd like you to do is maybe walk folks through each of these products and what's being run on the boxes today.
Okay, we can do that. So what we've got here is the TM500. This is the Test Mobile 500. It's basically the 4th generation of this platform. It's been available since Release 99 WCDMA, and in this particular system setup we've got here, we've got carrier aggregation software. It's not up and running right at the moment, but on the system here, you can see how you configure every piece of the puzzle here. From the lower layer, the PHY, the NAS, RLC, and USIM configurations are all available on the graphical user interface. And once you've got the system up and running, what you can do with it is you can basically see both of the carriers at the same time, see what's happening on your spectrum, see if there are any throughput issues, see if there are any drop packets or anything like that, and identify the problem early on. This carrier aggregation option is offered as a single single device, so you can basically run one device against the base station, or you can run up to 32 devices emulated on the base station. And these can all be carrier aggregation devices. So you can have two bands on one UE, two band on another UE, all the way up to 32 E's. And what's going to happen as we go forward is you're going to increase the number of UEs offered on the system to the thousands. So you'll be able to run 1,000 carrier aggregation devices, emulate 1,000 carrier aggregate devices on the system against your base station. Here we've got the 7100 LTE test system. As you can see, it's up and running, and it's a graphical user interface, so you can touch the screen and you can change modes here. Scenario wizard, where you can basically build your test scripts. Look at your logging. Look at your graphical representation of your spectrum, what's happening specifically in the protocol stack, what messaging you're sending and receiving. You can see all this, and again, all this is basically set up via touchscreen user interface, or you can also use a keyboard or a mouse. It's really up to you and exactly how you want to get it set up. One of the big things about this system in terms of carrier aggregation or in terms of standard LTE is the throughput. We have the highest throughput available on any test system. So if most of our customers are really, really keen on getting the maximum throughput when they're testing Cat 3 or Cat 4 LTE devices, we achieve the maximum theoretical rate on basically a variety of vendors' devices or chipsets. So it's very important. And the customers are wanting to see that same type of performance when they get to LTE or carrier aggregation. They want to make sure that you've got to be able to support 20 megahertz bandwidth, which is the MAC bandwidth, on two different carriers. So in our case for carrier aggregation, you can do 20 and 20 megahertz full throughput. So you're basically giving up to 300 megabits of throughput. That's Cat 6 according to the LTE standard. But you can also mix and match. So one bandwidth can be 10 megahertz, another bandwidth can be 5 megahertz. And again, you're going to be able to achieve the max throughput depending on what bandwidth you've got available. And that's very, very important to our customers. Also, easy use of the system is important, and the graphical user interface allows that, in addition to standard automation capabilities that are also built into the system. And this system, the way it works, the system's set up, in order to do carrier aggregation, you've basically got two systems tied together. One's a master, one's a slave. One is the primary component carrier. The second is the secondary component carrier. So the primary component carrier has all of the control information, and it directs the secondary channel. So in terms of bandwidth, in terms of handovers, etc., that's going to basically primarily be driven by the primary component carrier. So which is why you have two systems here. We're also planning to make sure that this system is fully backwards compatible to existing legacy capability. So if you're using 7100 for regression testing, for development testing currently, you simply basically have an upgrade package to tie the systems together, and you can continue to run your standard tests in addition to running carrier aggregation. So we've basically tried to make to the system, we're protecting your investment in the systems you currently have.